Hello and welcome to Weekly Geek Speak. I'm Andrew.
I am Scott.
And I'm Steve.
And you are listening to our weekly show. You can find us on Podcast Land, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher and YouTube. And also we are now on Sheffield Live. If you do listen to Sheffield Live, hello, welcome. You can listen to an extended show on our website, weeklygeekspeak.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at Weekly Geek Speak and find us on Facebook, Weekly Geek Speak. Give us a like, because we like you. So coming up on today's show, we've got an interview with Steve Kahn, who directs a great short film called Fear. Some of you may have seen it if you came to our screening last week, or earlier this week, should I say, where we showed Fear with Masters of the Universe. Here you can find out a little more about the film, how it came to be, and the thought processes, the casting, the directing, the choices made in that film. Great interview, lovely guy. Definitely check that film out if you haven't seen it. There's trailers and things online, and it is doing festival circuits. But more on that later. Right now, we need to just mention that a great icon of sci-fi has passed away, and he doesn't need any introduction, does he? Leonard Nimoy. Passed away, and Star Trek was huge for me growing up personally. It was my child. We all have someone or something, a band or I don't know, an icon that we look up to, we idolise as a teenager, because you're a very lost, weird person as a teenager, aren't we?
Some of us don't grow out of that.
No. And we need to idolise, and I think Star Trek was where I went. Now, it didn't make me many friends at school, I'll be honest, but it certainly entertained me, and he was he's amazing. He really was such a great character. Spock was such a strong character. Great moments, great actor, and it seemed a thoroughly joyous guy as well. Do you guys have anything to say about the late great Leonard?
I think actually, apart from casually watching the odd original series episode with my granddad, who was big into it, I think my first exposure to Leonard Nimoy was actually in the Simpsons episode with the when Mr. Burns is wandering the woods. Do you know, it's very X-Files.
Yeah. Episode.
He's just always been there, hasn't he? As a pillar of sci-fi and a geek cult icon. Personified one of the most iconic characters there's ever been. Touched many people's lives, and all the tributes pouring out on Twitter when I heard just random Star Trek quotes, as you might expect, and all of them were just so profoundly touching in a weird way. Just like, you have been and always will be my friend, and he was the most human, and even just live long and prosper. And like, people are like, yeah, he did both, and it was just kind of beautiful, you know, like tragic. You don't want anyone to pass, but I thought it was. Occasionally people surprise you, and things are nice, aren't they? So I give him a Vulcan salute to the sky. Well, I'll try. I'm doing it with my right hand. With my left hand, I do that. Oh, Andrew's good, and Steve's all over that. Why can I only do it with my right hand?
I don't know.
I'm left-handed, so I should be able to do it with my left.
Yeah.
So we say, live long and prosper to the great Leonard Nimoy.
And something I didn't know about him, which I learned on Hollywood Babylon, Ralph Garman, Kevin Smith. He directed Three Men and a Baby.
Really?
Yes, and I've just I checked that on IMDb to make sure it's one of these weird things I throw out and you go, what? And I go, oh no, I was wrong. But yeah, he directed Three Men and a Baby.
That is my favourite film of all time.
How bizarre is that?
Do you know what's really weird though? I watched Three Men and a Little Lady.
Awesome film.
Yeah.
Though I wanted more little ladiness. She's a very funny little actress. I think there's a great charisma there, but she never really explores. You get these horrible English people, stereotypical foul English people, which kind of eclipse what I want to see is Tom Selleck, Ted Danson, the other guy, running around with this girl who's so funny and lovable, and that's what I loved about that. The mishaps and the things with the Three Men and a Baby kind of missed that. But
that was one of those weirdly perfect, like, I used to watch that as a kid for no real reason, and it just stays with you, and you always think it's a great film but you never watch it again in a weird way.
No.
You never think about it, but when it comes up, you're like, what a great... Because you just remember watching it as a kid.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
And Ted Danson in that makeup at the end of Three Men and a Little Lady as the priest. I think that's hilarious. I think it's brilliant. But yeah, Leonard Nimoy, we see you off with a... And off he floats into space in the coffin.
What Gizmo was he? Oh.
So yeah, please do send your Leonard Nimoy memories to us. We'd love to talk more about him because he is a great, but we shouldn't be sad he's gone. We should celebrate what a legacy he brought to us.
Definitely.
We want to move on now to the game we play, a lovely game called Recommend Decommend, and I'm going to go to Scott and say, what's Recommend Decommend?
So, a fortnightly catch-up game where we all pitch the best film we've watched in the interim to the floor, and we all vote to see what is the best foot forward as a podcast to recommend, and we do the same for the inversely good ones, aka the bad ones. In Decommend, which is a word we've coined and we're very proud of, because no one ever corrects us, so it must be real. And it's just a bit of fun. Just a bit of podcasty fun.
So with that, Steve,
Yeah.
you were angry last week because your Decommend was picked by me because I got there first. So you're going first today.
Oh, okay.
So what's your recommend?
Yeah, so it's been I've managed to cram in 11 films, which I'm quite in amongst all the
Into
things
where?
I've had. I don't know. Don't ask. But a couple I've seen before, and a couple, but they've all been really, really strong films. And there's a reticent Decommend, and the recommend. There's a few films we've given. Now this is, Dead Snow 2 I rewatched.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, loved it. But we've talked about that a lot. I want to bring that up. I'm going to go for one that I went to the cinema to see, and I've mentioned that already. No, the one I'm going to go for is That Awkward Moment.
That awkward moment.
I think I just experienced it.
Which is a really strange one. Not one that I'd normally bring. But it's one that I came away from
What is it?
6 or 7. So it's Zac Efron, it's 3 friends who have reached that point in their lives. They're all single. They all happen to be single at the same time. And they all make a pact to stay single and have all the fun forever. And I've broken Scott.
We've caught.
So I'm just gonna.
We don't often caught.
Scott's
It
just
was
gone.
Andrew, like, what is it? And you went, 6 or 7. You thought, just, I don't know. Carry on.
We're a bit hyper with Jelly Babied up. Other sweets are available. Although Jelly Babe's not a brand, everyone does.
No,
Carry on.
Yeah, 3 friends that make a pact to be single and have lots of fun forever because they all happen to be single at the same time. It was funny, it was quite sweet, it was inoffensive. Zac Efron's pretty good, and it's not one that I'd normally bring to the table, so I thought I'd recommend it as a kind of 6 or 7 guy. Just stick it on. It's a nice, happy.
So you're bringing
lucky.
a 6 to recommend Decommend.
It's a 6 or 7. It's a 7.
Okay. So it's
But it's one that I
interesting-
thought I wanted to bring up because it's one that I would have skirted past my list, flipped through my book weeks later, and never mentioned it. So I'm going to bring that.
What was the
To
highest
the
rated
table.
one, incidentally?
Probably Dead Snow 2,
Okay.
which was an 8/9, but we've spoken about that.
True. Well, I get it. You
so
want
yeah,
them to
it's-
recommend it. That's what I was
That's why I
arguing
thought I'd
last
bring
week.
it. Just to-
So yeah, go see it because it's surprisingly better than you
surprisingly much better than I thought, and it's just one of those funny throwaway films, but worth a watch.
thought. Scott,
Cool.
sell me your film.
We were talking on Friday about the fact I've been so busy, I've not watched a single film, so I made the Herculean effort, and now I've watched 2 films.
Oh wow. Okay. Some
So,
pickings.
It actually makes recommend Decommend rather easy. So I watched, because it was on TV, thank you, I can't remember what channel it even was, whoever commissioned it to put on, Total Recall, the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, the Paul Verhoeven one. I absolutely love this film. It's my favourite Schwarzenegger. It's just, it's good ideas are just oozing out of it. It's got a solid plot, great action sci-fi film, just and the right sort of bonkers. Do you know what I mean? And it's just about Arnie trying to get his ass to Mars, working out who he is, the very nature of memory and stuff.
Great effects.
All great effects, and I just there's something about it. I just love it to be. They don't make those films anymore, and I know they tried. Got Colin Farrell, but you just can't recreate that sort of 80s, post 80s. I think of 1990 came out, but
Slim time, 1985 to 93, I'd say.
Yeah,
you cannot make those films ever again.
no, but there's some sort of magic there, some sort of action, gory, sci-fi magic in there sort of film. I just love its pieces, and it's got a woman with 3 breasts, as everyone knows. But if that doesn't get you a point, I don't know what can.
So I guess it's up to me
Yeah.
to bring mine. And sometimes you see a film and just out of the blue it strikes you and it hits you in the right place. It inspires you. It takes you to a new level of understanding of a person, of a event, of something that happened. And that's why today I'm really stoked to bring what is... I can't see how it's not going to lose, frankly. Katy Perry's Part of Me.
Yes, I'm so glad you watched this.
So am I.
Okay, honestly, I know it's not a documentary. It's a bit of propaganda about her. It's about the thing. But you know what? I have a teenage girl inside me. I think genuinely like cheesy pop music.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that likes that. And I don't know. I found Katy Perry thoroughly likable.
Yeah.
I guess I would in a documentary about her. But I thought it was interesting seeing how these massive events are put on. I find it absolutely ludicrous that these people are given this much,
Yeah.
These people are doted on. But Katy Perry seems to come across quite likeable with that. Sometimes I once saw a bit of Beyonce's documentary, and she came on the most pig-headed, ignorant, horrible woman in the world. She might be lovely, I don't know. Katy Perry might kick puppies, I don't know. But I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the journey we went on. I enjoyed that Russell Brand was slagged off. I enjoyed, it's fun. It's a fun movie. I didn't regret the hour and a half watching it. I get to look at pretty people in pretty clothes jumping around on stage, and I love it. I'm buying it on DVD. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Honestly, it's fun. I loved it. I'm getting a T-shirt.
Cool.
Sod Miley Cyrus. That's so last year.
Yeah, we're
It's all
over
Katy
that.
Perry.
Yeah.
It's Katy Perry.
Part of you.
Teenage Dream. Yeah. And so many great hits after this film as well.
Oh yeah.
There's so many in there. And, oh God, guys, come on! I know you're listening. Going, what's he on about? I know you're going. Is he joking? No.
How could he be?
How could I?
How could he possibly be joking?
How could a 27-year-old man love this film? Well, Katy Perry, isn't it? It's quite easy. Anyway, so yeah, that's my pitch. It's fun.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Deal with it.
She's part of me.
Well,
So it goes to Steve to vote, and you've got a classic in Total Recall.
we're going to do the old switcheroo though.
Yeah.
Uber classic, a
Uh,
inspiring piece
yeah.
of teenage dreams.
Yeah.
Katy Perry.
Did you watch it last Friday night?
No,
Nice.
I don't want to spoil the fun, but literally, if Andrew wins this week, this game's rigged.
Why?
I'm just saying that before we
I
start.
love
Well,
how you
you-
always... You have to preface me speaking, so it's
because I know it's because I think I know what's going to happen. So I want to almost
Honestly,
stop.
but you have a big part in where it goes. You can stop me winning. Do you deny the obvious winner in the 3 winning? Come on.
Just
It's
saying.
the standout in the crowd.
I just want everyone at home to know I tried,
This.
and then now you do what's going to
this
happen.
this film is pure. This film is innocent, pure loveliness. Care for each other. Treat us how you want. I don't know. Fucking hell. I don't know what I'm on about.
us
Carry
how
on,
you
Steve.
By all means,
You know what to
vote
do.
what you
Steve.
will,
Well, the
unencumbered.
thing is, if I vote, even if I vote now for Scott, he won't accept it.
Look,
'Cause
the
I did
problem
that last
is,
time. I'm
the problem
scared.
is, for somewhere along the line, Scott got very funny about winning.
Yeah.
He loves winning.
It's been pointed out to me.
So when he did win,
It's been pointed out to me by a couple of people that I'm really harshly treated during this game. And then I realised, after we talked it through, that I kind of am when we put the films together. And then someone even pointed out you use contradicting excuses. So I'm convinced it's a conspiracy.
No,
now.
but also, this is not about who has the best film. It's about the film we want to recommend.
that's why I pitched.
Exactly.
We're
I
recommending,
pitched
not
today.
saying everyone go see Batman, because everyone has seen Batman.
But I want everyone to see Batman.
I know, everyone should see Batman, and if it came up, it would win, but, You know my exam.
Can I have 2 more hours? No, it's fine.
Steve,
do what you will.
Don't let him sway you.
No,
you know what to do.
I've said my piece. It will never come up on any future week.
It will.
It will.
We'll see.
It will. 2 weeks' time.
Remember, Steve, you're a champion.
I'm a winner.
You're going to hear him roar.
I know.
This could be the dark horse.
Oh.
Go.
I've seen the Katy Perry movie, and I'm also not going to lie, an unashamed hour and a half of Katy Perry propaganda. It's shiny, it's happy, it's inoffensive. It's an hour and a half of
Could
your
say
life.
perfect.
I wouldn't go that far. It's an hour and a half of your life. You don't regret watching it. It's all right, But I can't go against Total Recall. The Arnie classic. They tried to remake it. It was all right. It was more
I've not
based.
seen the remake. What was
The
it
remake's more like Minority Report-esque. It's more
Did
like
seem
based
that
on
way,
the Philip
yeah.
K. Dick stuff rather
Yeah.
than a complete just let's take an idea and make it our own.
Yeah.
It's more grounded in the sci-fi sort of that futuristic, everything's white and clinical kind of. And I am quite beholden to it. So when they announced they were remaking it, it was a bit like oh. So I'm gonna go for. As much as I loved Katy Perry, I am going to have to go for Total Recall.
Well, you've just
I'm
been
afraid.
kicked out of the Katy Perry fan club. Judas. Scott, where are you voting?
Why aren't I in the fan club?
You are. You at the moment, you are.
Okay.
Depends where you go right now.
I'm not overly familiar with that awkward moment.
It's got Zac Efron's in it.
And I like... Question mark, Zac Efron?
But is he like a California girl, or is he unforgettable?
I don't know. Are you trying to... Do you think this is some
Scott,
sort of
you're a
subconscious...
No.
No. I'm wide awake to what you're trying to do. Just so you know. But I've not seen it. I might do. Is it on Netflix? So
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get there one day. I've only seen the first 10, maybe 12, I don't know why that's more relevant, minutes of Katy Perry's Part of Me.
Sometimes like a Jew, a sauce. It's too strong for you to take all at once.
No, it's more that I was skiving at work at the time, and I thought, what's a good way to do that, Katy Perry? And it really, really, really amused me. Because there were loads of people, her fans, candidly talking to their webcams and to their videos in their bedrooms about how Katy Perry was the second coming of Christ.
They didn't use mine.
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't have been naked. I told you this.
I thought it was an angle, which might get... Well, that
Well,
angle was
yeah.
probably a bad angle.
It was a bad angle. But it really amused me because they were all talking about how Katy Perry gives them strength and Katy Perry is the light and Katy Perry... And I'm just like... I like her too, but she's literally just a good-looking pop star. She knows nothing about the world or universe or gives anyone strength to do anything. I'm sorry. If it works for you, great.
Can I just... Genuine point here.
Okay.
Genuine point.
Yep.
Earlier on I was talking about Spock and Star Trek.
Yep.
And Star Trek is just a sci-fi series about space that goes into theories and this, that and the other. That... I would say that inspired me as a teenager to get through. It gave me something to love and focus on, and it gave me something to carry me through times at school when I hated it, when I was bullied and things. And it was Star Trek which was there for me. So I kind of see that kind of...
But that dealt in sort of politics and philosophy within its sci-fi environment. Katy Perry sings about what she did on Fridays.
True, but each to their
I'm
own.
not, yeah, each to
I
their
genuinely
own.
think that
Fair enough.
teenagers are idiots and they need to latch onto something just so I can I had Star Trek.
Anything that inspires you or touches your life positive, great, good for you, bully.
If you're a teenager listening, you're not an idiot. You're strong and beautiful.
Oh,
like Katy Perry.
no.
We should be their inspiration.
No, I can't stress enough, every teenager's an idiot.
Okay, I'll go with that.
I was
Fine.
an idiot as a teenager.
I was trying to be nice.
You're just a walking hormone bubble who thinks every thought you've had's original. You'll get it out of you.
You get a podcast and just...
And then you get a podcast, and then it turns out you're right. No, joking. No, but fine. It just amused me. I think it was fun, and I'd like to. And I'd like to watch the rest of it. So I'm going to say Katie postpartum me actually, unironically.
This is. Oh, I'm voting. I'll be honest. I've not really seen anything that interests me of that awkward moment. I've got to be honest. I'm seeing red text on a white background.
I don't think it was.
I know, but that's what I'm seeing.
I know, yeah, that's why, yeah.
And
I'm seeing a funny picture where they're probably all like sat by a kitchen with like drunk beers all behind them, and they're probably pulling a weird pose, like
biting the lips, like ooh.
Yeah. That's why my mind. Is that the poster?
I don't know.
Can you describe the cover for
the poster.
me? I want to see if we can get it as close to the cover.
I'm going to find it.
So, yeah, I mean, Zac Efron, you've tried to sell me on that, but as much as he is a lovely young chap, and I enjoy his work in 17 again.
You know what? They are sitting down.
Three of them sat on a sofa. There's a man hugging a teddy bear, Zac Efron looking confused, and the other guy eating some ice cream.
I think we were
weirdly
close.
Pretty much.
We were pretty good there. I can't really deny a classic, though, a film which is a huge effects. I love. What have you found?
It's two of the Fantastic Four are in it.
Okay. I can't deny a recommend of a classic film which it's my teenage years and there were I loved watching Verhoeven films, Starship Troopers and things.
Was it you? Please forgive me if it wasn't you, but someone did. Someone had a poster of the three-breasted woman in their bathroom. It wasn't you, was it?
No.
Who was it?
I don't know.
But every time it used to weirdly freak me out because I was aware of the thing, but just seeing it in a sort of pin-up context made it weirder somehow.
So I can't really say much more than you already have. It's a great, like, silly sci-fi film. But it's also just goes down as a bit of a classic in my book of modern sci-fi movies, and I love it. In fact, I want to watch it now.
My favourite Sharon Stone film, easily. And Arnie. And Michael Ironside.
So I am solidifying the win for Total Recall. I feel betrayed, but we all know, all the listeners know, that they will go out and watch Katy Perry, Pardon Me. And they will be standing with their fists in the air going... I can't even think of the lyrics. I don't know what I'm on about anymore.
I think that's the real victory here. Yeah.
Now we move on to Decommend, where we have the worst films. And we're starting with Steve again, who will probably and have an awkward moment and then decide what he's going to say.
So my Decommend this week is...
strong.
Cuban Fury.
And why did you watch it?
Is that the Nick Frost one?
It's the Nick Frost one. I was curious. It's one of those ones. It's one of those ones that sort of came and went. They bigged it up for a while, and then it was like, oh, has that been and gone?
So what is Cuban Fury about? I am an alien, and I've lived under a rock on Mars.
Right. Okay.
No, to be honest, I could be a well-adjusted human in 21st century Britain, and I still would not know. So, what is Cuban Fury?
So it's Nick Frost. It's him and his sister as they start off, and they've got Lovejoy as their dance coach and their little kids, and they're winning all these salsa dance competitions. And one day, Nick Frost, the little boy Nick Frost, gets beaten up, called all sorts of names because he's wearing his shiny outfit on the way to this big competition.
So it's Billy Elliot.
He just rings up and says, "I'm not coming anymore. It's for pussies." Gives up, and that's it. And then years later, they get this new boss at work, and she's a lady boss. But that's the big thing. It's a company that sells lathes and makes lathes and designs lathes. Like, I won't be a female, and it is. Oh, surprise, surprise. Yeah, I don't know what they.
What are lathes?
Do.
Lathes are what you use to cut things down with, don't they?
Yeah.
We are not working class.
Yeah, we don't know what a lathe is.
We are not men. We like Katy Perry and not lathes.
The manliest thing I've ever done is barbecue.
Yeah.
Where you stand over some meat, cremating it, going...
Yeah. And then 4 other men stand around you, pretending they're helping.
Yeah.
That's the manliest thing.
Getting each other beers.
Yeah.
So it's basically, turns out she does salsa. Nick Frost wants to get back into it, so he takes up salsa again. Better than I expected. It was a 5 or a 6, but Chris O'Dowd, and it's the writing and the character, but the way he plays it is the most horrendous, misogynistic, awful. Just they try and drop these jokes in that just aren't even. It's like that's crossing the line.
Is he intentionally misogynist in that we're supposed to hate him?
Yeah, but you really do hate him. It's like,
but if that's
with
intent,
a passion. I know, but it's
the job of the writing. If they've done a good job,
yeah,
writing
they have.
it.
They've done a very good job of writing him, but it's almost cringeworthy because it's Chris O'Dowd's normally in stuff being silly.
You don't like hating Chris O'Dowd.
Chris O'Dowd, and I really hate him. It was just.
Doesn't that mean he's a good
it's
actor?
It's just
then?
really weird. I don't know.
Isn't he doing if it's well written as a hateable character, and then Chris O'Dowd is doing a great job as a horrible character, then surely it's great writing and great acting. I don't know. I haven't seen it. It might be shit.
No, he's terrible. He is. You're trying to sell it. No, he's terrible. But it was. I like the music. It was witty in places, and I'm glad I saw it because now I can say I've seen Cuban Fury as opposed to wondering what it's like. But it was definitely average.
Cool. Well, Scott, what have you got to go up against Cuban Fury?
You will think I've done this on purpose, and I really, really didn't. It just happened to be on as well last night when I panicked because I needed to watch a second film, so I watched the last 2/3 of it. And I've not done it on purpose. It was Batman and Robin. I don't need to say any more. I will let Andrew go and take my victory.
Batman and Robin. Well, okay, moving swiftly on. I struggled with this because I did watch a film that I liked when I first watched it, but then I watched it again and I didn't love it as much. Or something that just strikes me as... No, I'm going Smiley Face with Anna Faris. A stoner comedy I stumbled across on Netflix, which...
I'm not familiar with that.
It's like Anna Faris's... I'm guessing it's one of her earliest films. She plays a stoner who accidentally eats a load of space cakes, some pot cake stuff.
Okay.
And she thought she had the munchies, and then she just ate a load of space cakes and then is really high. But then, like, say, Dude, Where's My Car? A load of things she has to do. She has to replace the pot to make some more pot buns to replace the one she ate for her weird housemate because he'll go mad. But then when she buys the pot, she doesn't have enough money and she spends the electric money, so she needs to go and find that money. And this is a kind of network of things. And what you expect from this film is it to nicely tie up in the end with some kind of...
It's always like a grand quest out of nothing, isn't it? Like every stoner film, some sort of epic quest based on the stupidest, wouldn't even be an issue adventure.
But what we have is it weaves this kind of story of mishaps and things. And what I really not like, but I expect from these films is to tie it up in a nice kooky ending where they
get to White Castle.
Yeah, it's that kind of fun thing where they finish it and maybe they learn a lesson, or maybe this just kind of peters out to nothing and nothing is resolved, and it's just like, I guess you could say it's quite prolific in the way it says that a stoner doesn't sort out the problems, it just gets worse and worse and worse, and she just ends up in a bigger mess. But then I just feel like you've wasted my time. I don't need a moral story from this. I just find it's not crap. Well, it is crap, but it's inoffensive in a sense. It's just... It needed a proper ending.
Accidentally eat loads of space cakes.
So you ate loads of space cakes.
Okay. But she did it accidentally, didn't she?
Yeah. She thought
you can't learn a lesson against an accident. Like, be careful what you eat.
But it was more that she spent housemate's money, and then she had to try and get everything back.
It sounds like a fun day to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess you could watch it as a fun day. She gets into...
It's not a film, don't get me wrong.
Scrapes, but it's not a film, and it felt a bit like... That was a waste of time. And if I was to go on the Steve argument of, it was only an hour and 20 minutes, it still felt like a waste of an hour and 20 minutes come the end. And that could have easily been solved by a better written ending, personally. So now it's voting. We don't have much time. Steve, you have Batman and Robin and Smiley Face.
Yeah. As a fan of Harold and Kumar Save Christmas in 3D, I don't mind that kind of film. So that sounds like something I probably would watch. I have scrolled past it on Netflix. Anna Faris, harmless. It sounds exactly like the film I would imagine if I had clicked on it the few times I've scrolled past. Batman and Robin. I think we've covered a lot.
I don't.
I think,
that's why I didn't think I had to say a word.
Yeah,
I'm almost ashamed that's one of the only 2 films I watched because it's such a cheaty one. It's like insta-win, isn't it? So I'm sorry about that.
No, it's...
I was almost going to lie and say I hadn't watched it, but I did.
Batman and Robin, yeah, it is, yeah. It is what it is, to bring back a phrase I've not used for a while. Yeah, so it's going to be Batman and Robin.
Play my TV.
So, Scott, you vote next. Cuban Fury and Smiley Face.
I will maybe watch Cuban Fury because it's got a few people I mildly like Olivia Colman, Nick Frost, and Chris O'Dowd, etc., etc. And it might be passable. I am never going to watch an Anna Faris stoner comedy from her early career. Just why on earth would I? No. So it'll have to be that.
Okay. So I can either send it to an audience vote or just give it Batman and Robin. There you are. Batman and Robin. I described it once as a fart in a paint can. I stick with that. That's exactly what we have there. Everyone's allowed their own interpretation of Batman.
Except
this
for
guy
Joel Schumacher.
But this guy was given 2 for some bizarre reason, and the second one was just stupid. I mean, I can watch it and laugh along now because we've had something back. You know, we've got good Batman films now. We had good ones before, and that's why this felt like such a soiling. When it came out, it felt like it had killed Batman. Yeah. Fortunately, Batman can't be killed, as we know, and fortunately, a great director, Nolan, took it on and carried it forth, and it brought it back to life, rising from the flames. The flames that were Batman and Robin, so it has to be Batman.
It gets
and
a lot of grief for its puns and its villains and so. I still think Batgirl's the worst bit of it. Because she guesses passwords for 10 hours and then works out its peg, which is which is on a frame next to the computer, and she types it like PAG. Then after that, we're supposed to buy her as a computer genius. Couldn't she just hacked and bypassed the password?
From Robin dries his socks, isn't it?
That's
forever.
Yeah.
God, they're all awful.
Yeah. Anyway,
terrible.
So your recommend this week is Total Recall. Scott wins, and Batman and Robin, which is also Scott. You never win.
Double.
I'm not proud of winning that recommend. It's too easy. I mean, literally, what could have beat Batman and Robin?
You're
Nothing.
doing us a service though, because now no one else can use it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's done.
It's time for the news. First of all, this week, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Neil Blomkamp is making Alien 5. It's official. And will be a direct sequel to Aliens and ignore the fact that 3 and 4 actually happened. Which I find quite interesting.
I've been thinking about this because a few people are mad that because they don't like the selective sequels. Like you can't just sort of retcon half of the films and say they didn't exist. You can't just make a sequel to any film you want. You have to sort of appreciate a canon. Is the argument of some, and others like, oh, that's the last time we cared. Yeah, do that. I personally think, how do you know it's not both?
Yeah.
Literally, if you have Hicks and Newt in it, and they survive at the end, why can't that be Alien 3? Go into Alien 3. Have your cake, eat it. Then again, Ripley's visibly older. That's the only thing.
Yeah, there's rumours it might link Aliens and Alien 3. It might ignore them, but it might link them somehow. People are saying, well, maybe it's going to link them and be like a alternate. But he's quoted as saying it's a great series and deserves a proper ending. I know the fans would love that, so I hope it works out.
And I think when we mentioned this the other week, who better than Neil Blomkamp to do this? I honestly think he's the best choice out there at the moment.
Yeah. And at this point, I don't care about the Alien franchise. I consider it 2 films I love, one I reluctantly accept, and a travesty, and then the spin-off ones.
And then Prometheus happened.
At this point, I just don't care. So if one of the best current sci-fi directors wants to go back and try to make that vital, I'll watch it. And that's more than I can say for half of what it's done recently. And I've still not watched Prometheus.
No, I
don't care.
I'm not.
I still don't know how that is somehow accepted by most people. It's more infuriating to me than just through basic script writing and characterisation. Well, it's not as bad as Resurrection, but it's just stupid. I'm sorry, it is.
It's getting a sequel.
I know.
You'll be pleased to know.
And I'll watch it because I'm a mug.
Will it tie into what Blomkamp's doing?
I don't think it would. No, I think it's a separate.
Yeah, they're going off on their own thing.
Yeah. So yeah, label us there. Listeners' favourite and Weekly Geeks Week award-winning Adventure Time is getting a big screen outing from the Warner Brothers Studios. The
Really?
Cartoon Network series about a 12-year-old boy and his dog who protect the land of Ooo from the Ice King has Roy Lee and Chris McKay on board from the Lego Movie.
I just thought, really? Wow, that's amazing. But then in 10-minute chunks, Adventure Time's great. An hour and a half of that? I think it would be amazing, but I'd need to eat a lot of sugar before I went in, I
You
think.
can watch a few episodes in a row, though.
True.
Similar to when you make a big screen version of a sitcom, I get really wary when they try and make a cartoon into a film, because you end up with something like the Simpsons movie, which everyone says is good, but over time you proved you were right. It's nothing.
But it's very it's disappeared into the ether. But the SpongeBob movie was fun. I think they did that right.
Well, then they're bringing that back for a new one, but
That's.
I don't know. I mean, it's loved enough, and I hope for the best.
It sounds like
I
it's
don't
in
watch
good
it
hands.
myself. Yeah,
I think
but does it need one? But does anything need it?
Yeah.
You could go around in circles. We only want to argue.
six seasons in a movie.
I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. I think that's very exciting, and I will probably see it on DVD more likely than anything. But yeah, it just it's just a bit of assault on the senses.
Definitely. We got 5 character posters for the Avengers Age of Ultron and
6.
mention of a big announcement from Robert Downey Jr. on his Twitter feed. He said, "You've been good, so here's an Iron Man poster. There's a big announcement in 8 days. Hashtag get excited," and that was on the 25th. The thing on the poster was like Danny Elfman's going to score this one.
They've released
on.
an extra one.
Okay.
So they've done 4 Hulk, Iron Man, Nick Fury, Black Widow, and Hawkeye. Obviously, Cap will be coming. Now, I think they'll cap it off with a Vision, like a proper good Vision.
I hope so.
And then Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. I can't think what the announcement might be.
No.
Might be something to do with Civil War.
Isn't it funny how when Vision was announced, I was like, oh, cool. And now I'm more excited about seeing Vision than anyone for some reason. This kind of
Well, it's his big
spark,
introduction,
yeah.
and they've held him back brilliantly in that. Yeah, we've seen enough to know what he's going to look like, but we always knew what he was going to look like vaguely.
And the awesome thing is, he's kind of a character that's always been there.
Yeah, exactly. I used to play his Vision on the Sega Mega Drive Captain America: The Avengers game. Vision. Exciting.
Nice.
We're not that far away.
No.
We're not that far
We're
away.
close. April. Telltale, who've had huge success with resurrecting the point-and-click game genre with Sam & Max, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, and more recently The Walking Dead and the Game of Thrones game. They've now teamed up with Lionsgate, which means we could see Hunger Games, Twilight, Orange is the New Black games happening. But at the minute, they're working on something called The Super Show, which is a game and TV series crossover. You play the interactive episodes, and there's episodes that you watch that are released simultaneously. And they're going to try. They said it's going to take some very creative script writing and lots of really clever things, but they're hoping it works out.
Interesting concept. But will it work? Will it come off?
I like a good experiment as much as the next guy, but I don't know. I don't know if I care.
Yeah.
I played I played the Back to the Future, and I played the Walking Dead ones. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. I like them.
No, really. Yeah.
But nothing to get overly excited about, if I'm being honest.
I love The Walking Dead. It's sort of like the idea of the interactive episode giving you sort of seconds to make that decision as if you're the character. I quite like that element. So if they get that right, how they'll tie it in with the TV show at the same time, we shall see. Yeah. Sequel news. Terminator Genesis 2 is happening but won't start filming until 2016. We haven't even had the first one. And the Lego Movie 2 has been slightly delayed, but rumoured to have Rob Schraub of Community making his feature film directorial debut.
Lego Movie 2 will be great. I got every confidence in... is it Phil Miller and Chris Lord? Or have we got that backwards?
Chris Lord and
Because I just find them funny. Everything I've watched with him works, like Jump Street and Lego Movie and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And I'm very looking forward to Lego Batman from them too. That's probably why there's the delay. In terms of Genesis, I don't know why they're getting ahead of themselves, because I'm not convinced that film's going to be shit.
I think rumour has they've penciled in another 2.
but I'm not convinced that film's going to do anything.
No.
I'm really on the fence as to whether that does any business whatsoever. So to power through with a sequel seems weirdly bold.
It needs a stake through the heart. It needs a Batman and Robin. I know we've just been slagging that off, but can we just finish the Terminator one? I feel like I'm seeing a dead horse being flogged.
I wanted it to go away for a while so it could have an epic reboot. That's good. That's not a bad thing. Go away for a bit and then bring it back in many years.
Vultures are picking at the robotic corpse.
Yeah.
We got a trailer for Frozen Fever, the 7-minute follow-up to the film that follows Elsa and Kristoff's attempt to throw a birthday party for Anna, and it's going to be shown before the live-action Cinderella movie and will feature an all-new song.
Yeah, I don't care.
No.
It's just cashing in.
Yeah.
And it's trying to help Cinderella.
Which looks,
Frozen in itself was a great film with loads of charm and great songs. But tacking a song together, animating a small bit of nothing, and calling it a Frozen continuation to sell another film is nothing, is it? It's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Not to get excited about. It's just for kids.
No. It happens.
And we're the biggest Frozen fans.
I know, right? I couldn't not bring it up. Zack Snyder tweeted a picture of Jason Momoa as Aquaman with the words "Unite the Seven." Aquaman movie scheduled for 2018, but he will debut in Batman vs Superman.
Looks very reminiscent of the 90s Aquaman when they tried to make him look grittier and cool. He had like one arm, he had like a hook. It looks very like that, but he looks. I like the sort of slightly Polynesian look. I know. I think he just looks badass, and I think he's going to convert a lot of people to the ways of Aquaman, who's a lot cooler character than what the mainstream realise, because he's spent years being the joke of popular culture superheroes. And Unite the Seven's exciting. Is it because he's going to unite the 7 seas and be king, or is it unite the Justice League?
Shows how busy I've been. I haven't even seen this.
Have you not? Shall I find it?
Yeah. You find that, and I'll. Supergirl, the upcoming CBS show, has added Dean Cain and Helen Slater as guest stars in the mystery roles. A DC history for anyone that knows. Cain played Superman in the Lois and Clark series, and Slater starred in the Supergirl film in 1984. The rumours are it's going to begin filming in the next couple of weeks.
I want to see that Supergirl film. I heard it's terrible.
Have you not seen it?
No, I've never
That's
seen
a witch. It's bad. Peter O'Toole's in it though.
Okay.
I am incredibly intrigued by this because I don't know if this is one of your other news, but they've confirmed they're going to do a third spin-off of Flash and Arrow, and it's basically going to encompass a lot of the characters they've introduced in both, like the Atom and Black Canary and stuff.
And the Atom, who looked awesome.
He was awesome. I love their shows, as you're fully aware. But Supergirl's also being held by Greg Berlanti, but it's also on CBS, which is a different network. And Superman's going to be in that universe, and he's obviously not in the Arrow one. But he suggested there could be a crossover. So I'm so confused. Is it in this universe or not? Or are they toying with the idea of it set in like the future? Or because Flash has introduced a lot of time travel-y stuff. Or you could even introduce alternate universes. That's very DC of them. I don't know, but it's very DC are winning on television and everywhere else that's not film.
It sounds like
Marvel fans. I'm saying it. Saying it now. Games, TV, DC, booyah.
Wow. On that note, one of the most beloved and highly influential sci-fi films of all time will be getting a long-discussed sequel. Blade Runner 2, set to film in 2016, will feature Harrison Ford again as Rick Deckard in a story, but set several decades after the first film. Filmmaker Denis Villeneuve will direct the screenplay by Michael Green and Hampton Fincher, who co-wrote the first ones.
Okay, I don't care. It's a really good cult film, but it doesn't need a sequel. This is Aquaman.
He looks very Game of Thronesy.
He does. Well, he's from Game of Thrones.
Nice fork. He looks cool. He looks a lot better than you imagine. Well, that's cool.
Obviously, the colours are very muted on that particular photo, but
they all have been in all the...
They all have been, but when you adjust the colours like some people have, just ever so slightly, it looks amazing.
Blade Runner, though.
Yeah.
It's been rumoured for years, I'm still not convinced.
That's what I mean.
It's just not necessary. It's just not necessary.
No.
You could at least just bring out another cut.
Yeah.
Well, they've run out of cuts, clearly.
Run out of cuts. Ridley Scott doesn't want to do it. So
release the 2015 We Want More Money cut. which has 4 extra seconds
Get in touch
where
with
Harrison Ford scratches his nose at the end of the 4th scene.
You shoe in an IMAX scene.
And then I've watched that, and I'm happy.
You know who can produce it? George Lucas. He knows how to ruin things. Make things better.
It's definitely a touchstone and a great cult film. Just leave it. Let it be that.
Yeah.
Let it be that forever.
Let it be that. And finally, we got a brand new trailer for the awesome-looking Batman Arkham Knight game, which looked amazing. And it aired the squad of supervillains. We got Harley Quinn, Scarecrow, the Riddler, Deadshot, Poison Ivy. It's incredible.
It did.
Can't wait for it.
I don't know what's happening with it because it obviously teases the identity of the sort of Batman-like character, which I'll spoil now. Will be Jason Todd. It's always Jason Todd. Scarecrow seems to have a prominence.
Yeah.
He doesn't usually get.
Wishless.
And I love the Arkham games. They could just. They don't have to try as hard as they do. They could just regurgitate and I'd buy it because the gameplay is amazing.
It does look like GTA Batman, this one.
But they do craft a great story and they've introduced the new mechanic with the Batmobile.
Yeah.
So I'm buying it and I'm playing it and you'll not see me for a few weeks.
Oh, I'm there.
Today on Weekly Geek Speak's Indie View, we are joined by Steve Kahn, director of Fear. Welcome to Weekly Geek Speak.
Thank you, Andrew. Great to be here.
You got in touch with us, basically, with this fantastic film you've made. It's called Fear, a very human movie that looks at kind of emotion in a place where perhaps you should feel the most safe, your own bathroom. Can you tell us a little bit more about the concept and how you came up with the idea?
Thank you for saying that. It really is a human film because I think this is something that we all go through. We all face these irrational fears in life, and a lot of time potentially they can really drive us crazy. They can drive us to our end. Sometimes. So that's kind of how I came up with the idea. And yeah, the bathroom is a place that's so common to all of us, but then again, it's a place where we're so vulnerable. And, where you have to let your guard down. And so that's kind of where the idea popped in my head, where I was in the bathroom one time and the wind sound, it just started driving me a little scared, So, yeah. But basically fears about how, your irrational fears can really drive you crazy and can really kill you in a way. So I felt that's something that we're going through and we go through as a society and a culture and it's it's our own fears of our medical health to governmental fears to just anything.
It's almost like when you strip away everything around the media which conjures fear and everything outside and everything, and you put in that situation on your own, that your head, because of all these outside influences, starts to be your own worst enemy. And that's kind of what this film talks about as well, isn't it?
That's exactly it. Right. And so, that's the thing, and I wanted to talk about that because there's tons of movies on love, but I don't know if there's any movie, or there's a ton of movies on crazy sharks that can kill you, or just any kind of horror things. But the thing that I feel affects us all so universally is just these fears that we have ourselves. So that's why I was interested in the film. Yeah.
So, what initially attracted you to this kind of premise? Have you been a horror fan growing up, or was it something in particular that you wanted to put across?
Well, just the theme, and I've loved horror. I was a big Hitchcock fan, and there's a lot of references to Psycho, and I loved Stanley Kubrick and The Shining, and those are and Rosemary's Baby, and so those kind of movies really influenced me a lot. I think that I like the classical horror, and so yeah, those influenced me, and then I just wanted to get this idea out. I really wanted to talk about fear, but it's funny because the inception of the project was really I had a girlfriend, and at the time we were kind of breaking up. It was at the end of the relationship, so I kind of had a fear about losing her. So I thought, oh, damn, she's an actress, of course. So I'm like, okay, I've got to write something for her. So my fear from losing her had me kind of write this film for her, which she never actually starred in. So yeah, I mean, I think fears can really rule you a lot in life, for better or worse. And the key is can you really get a handle on it, and you can really see it for what it is before you lose control. And I think that I think a lot of the great martial artists were about that, just about reining in your mind. And I think meditation's that way too, which is, can you control the mind from spinning out of control wildly? And so I think as humans, as people, that's a real challenge for us, because there's like the media you were saying, but just everywhere, there's just all these prompts that make you just spin out of control and go crazy. And, it's so hard not to.
You mentioned that Hitchcock was a big influence for you. The casting was obviously important as well, and you got your own Hitchcock's blonde, if you like, with Jessie Rebedew. She's a very striking actress. Was this important when you cast?
Yeah. I think that it was, and I think it's so funny because she is kind of like a Hitchcock, almost like she is the Hitchcock blonde in a way, and. She almost reminds you, in a way, also of Mia Farrow in Rosemary's Baby, which I brought up earlier. Just, I think she has something very classic about her. That's not the typical Hollywood leading actress that you see today. So, which was really interesting, and also was useful in creating this kind of retro feel, if you will, with the film. Yeah. So it was lucky to get her for the film in that way.
When it came to casting, did you have someone like her in mind, or can you tell me about the process of how you actually got in touch with her and how she came on board?
Well, it's so funny you say that. Well, I mean, the first thing is when you make something, sometimes you really don't know. You're kind of like, the vision is not always clear in the beginning. So I really contacted a lot of kind of actresses, and I was looking with a lot of kind of looks and a lot of the different kind of locations even, because the vision isn't clear. And I heard a Pete Townsend quote where one time he said that he didn't realize that Tommy was about him being molested as a child until it was done for years, maybe even years later. Then he realized, oh, that's what that was about. So it's funny with the process when you create, you're kind of molding and seeing what fits and what doesn't fit. And so, when I met her, I felt she was perfect. But before that, I was working with a lot of actresses, and it's funny, but a lot of them really had problems with the nudity and stuff. And so, I mean, the film, I think that the nudity isn't gratuitous, but it is beautiful. And a lot of actresses don't really want to do that. So with Jessie, she looked perfect for the part, but also she was willing to do those very just vulnerable things, which, as a guy, I think you don't feel like, oh, okay, I'll be nude, who cares, right? But for a woman, letting down that kind of guard in our society, I guess, is a very difficult thing. So, she was willing to do that. And so I think that everything just kind of lined up when she came on board. Whereas before that, I was searching, and for some reason, one person wouldn't work out. You just for one reason or another.
I'd just like to say that I think that the cinematography in the film is absolutely fantastic. It's very visually strong. And there's a great eye for colour in there. I mean, we start in a very white, stark, bright bathroom to the darkness to kind of towards the end of the film. Tell me about the creative process with the cinematography.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. It was very strong choices to make, because I wanted to depict in a poetic way the fear cycle and fear cascade that we go through, and spinning wildly out of control, and kind of going from a really white, light, innocent place really to a blackness in your own world where just everything looks black, and everything looks just horrible and dark and muddy. And so that's where we go from and to. And so that was, I wanted things to be very stark white, and then to go down that way. And so we put a lot of effort. I put a lot of effort into that just to achieve that look, because I feel, if the film, I think that what my goal is for a film to strike a viewer on many levels. And so if it's too deep, and if you don't, well, then maybe you'll like seeing a pretty girl naked or almost naked, or maybe you'll like seeing just beautiful cinematography, or as you said, the color, which is pretty striking too. So I think it's fun when you can see a project that hits you on many levels, and you can appreciate on many levels, and also is not just gratuitous, but can add up thematically on many levels, so that it all makes sense as a whole. But then again, you can appreciate the parts.
I definitely saw her as well in some of the lighting in the second half of the film. I know you said Hitchcock was an influence, but there was definitely a bit of Dario Argento going on in there as well, which I really liked. So tell me about how easy was it a film to make? Because you've obviously done a cracking job with cinematography. We've talked about the great actress leading it. How was it actually coming to making the film?
So that's such a great question, because I feel like there's this great quote, and it says, "Easy films to make are difficult to watch." And I feel that is so true, because it really was a difficult film to make on every level. The shooting, it was really just me and Jesse in the bathroom, bathroom or in the apartment for 5 nights shooting, and then editing and color and visual effects. After that went on for almost a year. So it was really, and the reason is because I wanted every shot to be beautiful and perfect and cinematic, and I wanted the acting to be that way too. And I feel, there's so much crap in the world today that to add to more of that, and to bore someone, or to not give, to waste someone's time, 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour, is horrible. And it's so funny, because I listen to I listen to Weekly Geek speak, and I'm like, these guys have it. It's hysterical. You guys are making me laugh. It's terrific. It's interesting. And that's what you have to do. I mean, in whatever way you can. You cannot bore, because there's so much crap on YouTube and so much crap on TV and podcasts and everywhere, that it's just a sin to do that. So it was painstaking, but I feel like my pain should be the viewer's joy, and that's how it should be as an artist, and should be as an entertainer, and should be as a podcaster, as a radio interviewer, whatever you're doing. It's just, you've got to suffer so that the viewer can enjoy.
I've done some filmmaking myself, and I know how difficult it can be, especially with the short shoot and time frames and things, and it's a real challenge. But moving on to my next question is, the next challenge is actually getting it out there. So how are you tackling getting this fantastic short film out there?
I'll tell you the truth, that the festivals, and since you're a filmmaker, you understand this, festivals are difficult. They're tough. I mean, a lot of the big, and I'm not talking the genre festivals and horror festivals, because the horror fans and horror people are amazing. And I was really afraid that this film wouldn't be embraced, because it's not new horror. It's kind of retro. I mean, it's not old, but it's retro horror. And boy, the horror people and horror fans and horror aficionados love the film, which is terrific. But the frustration has not been the genre festivals and things, but actually more of the big film festivals like Toronto, and really the biggies, where they're kind of more of the Hollywood machine. So I mean, last year, Toronto, the big film was Ghostbusters, and Bill Murray was there talking about Ghostbusters, which is a 30-year-old film. So I found that a lot of festivals work that way. It's been a frustration in that way, because if you're not part of the Hollywood machine, you get ignored a lot. So despite us having wonderful praise from you, which I really appreciated, and great reviews which we've had, I've still had to really bang on doors and to get the film seen in the big festivals, and it's been a frustrating process in that way. I mean, I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to understand the best way to deal with that. And part of me says I don't want to be part of the Hollywood society, even though I live in LA. And believe me, there's nothing great about living in LA. And if you're a filmmaker, I would pick anywhere else but to live here. But my family's here and I'm from here. But yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. So Yeah, I mean, mainly because LA people, they crank out a lot of crap. That's their whole philosophy here is like, you've heard of the 72-hour film festival,
Yeah.
28. Well, there's just no way. I mean, how the hell can you make anything great in 72 hours? And it just doesn't happen. So, and that's kind of how the Hollywood machine works. You're just going to crank out this crappy movie or this crappy show, and why reinforce that horrible philosophy? But that's the philosophy here. I mean, and a lot of people go on and they just make so much crap because they feel like, well, we need to have a big, huge resume, or you have like tons of credits on IMDb, and it looks good initially. You look at it, and go, oh, that's impressive, but then when you look in the individual films, it just, or the work, you just go, oh my God, what? I can't believe this in it. So there's, I just think that's how my world here is in Hollywood, and it's horrible. It's not the way it should be done. Yeah.
It's been said by a lot of people we spoke to, actually, that how difficult it is. But one thing you do have on your side at the moment is the fans. I mean, in the email you sent me, there's pictures of the fans donning the T-shirts. How important is it having these people on board?
So when I first finished the film, you get to finish a project, and you're like, how am I going to publicize this, and how am I going to get this out there? And first I went to the film festivals, and to be honest, you get ignored mostly, and then I went to critics and reviewers, and they really liked it, and especially the horror reviewers, they really liked it, and the fans really they relayed the film, and they liked the film, and it was many levels of fans too. It was terrific. So for me, it's the fans have meant the most, and I realize now, maybe even going forward, I don't care to pander to anyone else but the fans, and I appreciate the fans so much because the viewer is just like it's where it's at, and everyone else is kind of everyone else is tainted by the whole Hollywood machine. They're trying to get something for them, or they're trying to forward their own agenda or their own career, and so who cares about them anyway? Who cares about who needs that? But whereas the fan is just it's so gratifying when someone says they like your stuff, and you made them feel good, and they didn't feel like you didn't waste their time, because honestly, the worst thing you could ever do is waste someone's time, especially with so much crap being made. It's just horrible. What's next for Fear? Where have you sent it? What are you looking for? We've got several screenings, and it's being screened in Athens, Greece in March, and in Oregon in March, and all these places. But it's so difficult because I don't know. I really wish there was a better way than the film festival route, because I could tell you where we're going, all the festivals and the places. And I really, to be honest, I really go to the festivals because it's just how it's done and how it has to be done in a way right now, at least. And we get publicity from that, and I could do press and magazines and radio shows like yours and things. But it's deceptive in a way, because if I tell you a potential viewer really, it's just difficult for them to go see it. I'm very open because I love the idea of letting people view it. And so whereas the film festival route is kind of very restrictive and you can't really put it on the internet, and that's just how that has to happen. But but I let any group screen it if they want to screen it, and I'm very open to that, and because I just like it. I like to connect to viewers and fans. What's next for you after this? Have you got other projects in mind, or are you just concentrating on Fear at the moment and getting it out there? Well, I'll tell you, it's really a big full-time job to concentrate on this project and promote. But at the same time, we're working on adapting this into a feature, and so I'm working with some producers, and we're kind of getting that going. But that being said, you really, to really get a lot of push behind that, I need to make this very happen as a short film. So that's a challenge that I'm facing right now, which every filmmaker really which is the challenge for every filmmaker. Where can our listeners find out more? Where would you guide them to find out more about yourself and the film? Okay, so we have Twitter. So the film Twitter is fear_film, and we're Facebook at fear.short. Yeah, and for me, I'm Twitter at Steve Kahn, KHN.
I really like the look of this film overall. I think that really stood out, and you can even see that from the promotional posters and the trailer. And I would urge all of our listeners to get out there and see that. And good luck with it, mainly because, as you say, it's such a hard task, but it's such a rewarding task when it does get out there. So I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
On February the 16th this year, Breakfast Club turned 30, the John Hughes movie about the students kept behind on a Saturday in detention. Who'd have thought that?
The ones we weren't allowed to forget about.
Yeah, don't forget them.
No teacher, no matter how much he hated you, would have kept you behind on a Saturday.
No.
Like, that's his time off. Like, why would he willfully give that up to teach you a lesson?
Yeah.
Is it even legal? You'd have to open the school.
Yeah.
Like,
but you're the head, you've got the
I don't
keys, you can let yourself in.
what do the parents think's happening? If I told my parents I was going to school on Saturday morning, they'd be like, which teacher are you seeing? And then the police would be over.
Yeah.
A couple of the parents drop them off, don't they, at the beginning? They get
They're in
dropped
on
off.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're in on it. They're like, yeah, take the kids. We'll have a weekend
What
Saturday without them. Go for it.
Something sinister.
Get out of
going
our
on.
house. It's good. But it's a great film. I think one that's aged really, really well. It's very iconic. The John Hughes freeze frame ending. I mean, I think more films should still have freeze frame endings.
The oddly placed, pointless 80s dance montage.
Yeah. And the stereotypes. You get all the character stereotypes. So you've got Judd Nelson as the criminal, Emilio Estevez as the sort of cocky athlete, Alison Reynolds as the sort of slightly emo, basket case, slightly weird, Molly Ringwald as the sort of spoiled princess character, Anthony Michael Hall as sort of the geeky brains one that doesn't quite fit in.
Alison Reynolds. I thought it was Ali Sheedy.
Alison Reynolds.
Alison Reynolds is her character name.
Oh, I've wrote the wrong name.
But she's that good
Yeah.
that she should always be referred to as
As
a
Alison
character.
Reynolds. Yeah. And it's just a great film, and I just thought we could have a little talk, because obviously, like we've said, I don't think you could make it nowadays with Saturday Detention.
Have you not heard the rebooting it? The recalibrating it?
Well, if they're recalibrating, this is what I mean. Nothing is sacred at the minute, and it seems some remakes, reboots sort of go there and they go, right, we're doing this, and they take the property name. And they go, oh, we'll do little nods, but we'll change it completely. We didn't need that name.
Yep.
So let's imagine that's going to happen. They're going, right, Breakfast Club, we're going to take that. We're going to take a thing about... But yeah, so I thought we could take that and recast those characters in a modern-day version. Yeah, so just take those characters and recast them and imagine a modern-day telling. How would you do it if you retold that? If you took that today, could you do it?
No, it'd be like McLovin...
Yeah, it would be. You'd get
for start, before we even begin, Chris Mintz-Plaza will be in it.
He will be. He has to be.
He'd
He would be.
Anthony Michael Hall, wouldn't he?
You'd have Zac Efron as Emilio Estevez's character.
Yeah.
There you are.
Channing Tatum as the athlete.
And
instead of
Melissa McCarthy would be all the teachers.
who would we have as the criminal? The Judd Nelson, the guy in the leather jacket, the sort of slightly older one. Who could we have?
Who's a sort of edgy, teenagey actor.
Would Harry Potter be in it? Would Daniel Radcliffe be there? No, he's
No.
no. No, we're not having Daniel. Right? Okay.
He was a badass now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to Jack O'Connell. It's always it.
Yeah.
It's always Jack O'Connell.
Jack O'Connell.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like, even as a fighter fancy, I don't like recasting it.
It's strange, isn't it?
It's just wrong, isn't it?
Well, it got me thinking, because I saw the video again the other day of Back to the Future where Eric Stoltz is Marty McFly, and they shot quite a bit of that.
Surreal,
And
isn't it?
Yeah, but is it surreal because what we're used to this now, or is it surreal because it just didn't work? It's like.
There's a touch of both, but it's mostly the first point. We're used to Michael J. Fox in that performance, and Michael J. Fox is that performance. So to see someone who it was going to be doing it differently just feels like you've opened Bizarro World up and some of the things are wrong.
How much did he do then?
He shot half the film.
Yeah, I think it cost over $6 million, which back in the day.
It's one of the most famous sort of recasts, isn't it?
How gutted must he have been?
He ended up being in Caprica many years later. So there you go, an average spin-off to a decent sci-fi show. So he's fine. You're in Pulp Fiction, though, wasn't you?
Yeah, because Michael J. Fox was working on Family Ties at the time,
Mm.
and they waited for him. They filmed all that, and they were like, "Oh,
We can get motherfucking Teen Wolf. And they're like, I don't even know if that's out yet. They went, maybe, I'm not sure, but it's probably soon. We're aware of it happening at the very least. If it's not already out, Teen Wolf, we'll get Teen Wolf.
Yeah,
I remember the
we'll do that.
conversation. Yeah. It went exactly like that.
Scott was there. Scott used his hot tub time machine to go back."
That very conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah. But to go back, like Breakfast Club is an iconic film, and it's 30 years old, and it still holds up. I think it's it's up there. Not quite in my top 10, but it's one I'll definitely revisit and rewatch.
Mm.
And I know all the cast got back together, and they've done screenings of it in America.
You've been in a club.
No, like a club or a gang.
I've never been in a club.
I suppose like roller derby was like a team club.
Yeah, I guess
but where you all wore the same shirts and we all had a thing. But other than that,
I'd like to imagine a lot of the roller derby teams and like a Warriors-esque kind of.
Yeah.
Warriors come out to play.
But yeah, you've got to have a lot of love for Breakfast Club. I think it's John Hughes's first, I'd say, most recognised.
Yeah, I'll go along with it.
And I'd say it's up there as maybe the best for me, alongside Ferris Bueller. But yeah, I really love the film, and it has aged in the best way, because it is a time capsule of 80s, of high school, and that's what's great about teen movies, is because the teenage years are so different via each generation. Even between 5 years, everything changes because everyone is so faddy, and this is a great depiction of it. But also, when you look at it, how it isn't different in terms of the groups and the cliques and the things going on within schools. That's never changed. It's just how you dress changes.
yeah,
I don't think you can write about teen films without touching on Breakfast Club, which is as big a compliment, and just by stating a fact to give it a compliment, I'd say. You can't write about teen films without mentioning it.
that's it. Well, Easy A had all the nods to John Hughes and Breakfast Club and Emma Stone. That was a good.
It's just a touchstone for the genre.
Definitely.
It is the benchmark, really, isn't it? It's what you aim to achieve when you make these films, and John Hughes was a guy who kind of wrote the rules for the modern day teen movie. I mean, can you think of any other ones that are as iconic, as that prolific as
Porky's.
See, Porky's. So, but what have we had in the 30 years since? Because that's so we're saying the high school genre's moved on. Let's see what with the 90s we've sort of had American Pie, but have we had anything sort of
Superbad?
Superbad was the 2000s.
Because that led into more like Judd Apatow and Todd Phillips, and like everything's now got Seth Rogen or Jonah Hill or James Franco or Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah. So,
do you know what I mean? We've definitely got a new school of like comedy. We were talking teen comedy. I don't know where I went.
No, but John Hughes was that iconic 80s. Let's do all that. He had the same similar cast and did all the sort of high school movies. And in the 90s, we got American Pie that led to Road Trip that led to all the other weird spin-offs and things. And then we've got Superbad now, and
I think we get more like teen comedy at heart, like middle-aged comedies now. If you know what I mean. Like This Is 40 and stuff, where it's like you apply the same sort of attitude, but go, no, it's not about high school. Obviously, do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And if you think as well, in let's say the 70s, cinema was beginning to change in a lot of areas. You could be a lot more prudish, and the thing with teen movies is they were quite gratuitous and silly and rude, and the movies you were disappointed if you didn't see like boobs and things and stuff. And this is where it started, the 70s change in attitude, and in the 80s it really came to be. So I really think the 80s is the birthing ground of the teen movie, the modern day teen movie, and because whereas before you were looking at the kind of 50s kind of movies with that was your teens before, wasn't it? The kind of diners and
going to drive-thrus
and and this is the modern day version.
Where would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like Spring Breakers and 10 being like Citizen Kane or Baby's Day Out? What? Wait.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Oh no!
I was.
It's just remembered how funny Baby's Day Out
It is
There's that
really
scene,
funny, isn't it?
it's so good.
When the gorilla drags him.
Yeah,
back.
brilliant.
Where would you put it?
Nearer towards. I'd stick it nearer towards Baby's Day Out.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
So we're talking. I'm talking. I'd give it
Like
a 9.
an 8 for Baby's Day Out.
I'd be so bold as to say a 6. Of Baby's Day Out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd give it a 9. I love it. It's a great. And the soundtrack's great, and it is like you said. It's society's high school's 2 fingers up to society through film kind of thing. It shows how the high school rebellion
I think it's a classic. I think it's 4/5 Baby's Day Out, and
All
I
right.
think it's a touchstone, and it should be remembered and fondly. And it'll always be cult and iconic and relevant in some degree, whether it still hawks to now or not, if you know what I mean. Because like Andrew touched on quite elegantly, it's a bit of a time capsule.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So, yeah.
Although it makes me feel old.
It makes me feel. Yeah, it makes me feel incredibly old.
It's a great film.
It is.
It's a great director. They're great performances in there, and it's amazing what you can get away with on a Saturday in a school.
Yeah.
Exactly, you can like leave your baby alone to fend for itself against 2 hapless criminals trying to get it to slapstick delight. It's amazing.
We've reached the end of the show.
Aww.
And it's time to go to the great book, the book I wrote as a child, the Bumpy Goose book. Children's spooky stories written by me. And today we're going to the public toilet in Blinky Street.
Okay.
Why wouldn't we?
The public toilet in Blinky Street. The little city of Big was absolutely beautiful, except for one thing: the public toilet.
Isn't it always the case?
Scrollings on the walls.
Well, you should pay more to your local council.
Council tax.
They clearly...
Or write a letter to your council and just say, clean.
I mean, look, I've lived in Big many years now, since I was very small, and you need to sort this out. It's their own fault.
Just getting it wrong. The public toilet was next door but one to the sticky sweet shop, and opposite Weirdo's wonderful window stickers.
Oh my god, it is the same universe. This is really tight.
The same universe.
So have we worked out that Big is the city most of this occurs in?
Yeah. And then you've got Lizard Shop is obviously there.
Yeah.
That might have been closed down after the trauma of feeding children.
You've created like a Marvel cinematic universe. They all intertwine. It's wonderful.
One day...
Hold up. I got
go on,
excited
go on,
by
go on,
that.
go on.
Is there a sticky sweet shop next to a public toilet?
There is, yeah.
Can that be?
Yeah.
Can
That's
that
why they're
be?
sticky.
Yeah.
Oh.
One day, a German tourist paid a visit to the toilet. He was only 10, and he was very scared when he went into the gloomy, smelly toilet.
Why is his ethnicity important?
Because he doesn't know. He's obviously, it's a tourist. He's come in.
Oh, so if you're local, you'll know. Don't
go in the toilet.
I mean, we've all neglected to write to the council for years. We all know to just leave this.
And he's just looking for an efficient way to urinate, you know.
Of course, because they're all like that. Yeah.
He did his business and washed his hands.
Good.
The problem was...
A lot of people don't. I've watched
it's very
them.
true.
I've watched them.
Yeah, it's sickening.
I sit there for hours in the public toilet just watching people, and I can tell you.
Tagging them with UV marker.
Yeah.
This one, this one,
This one.
this one.
So people know. I consider it my duty.
The problem was that they went all yellow and hard.
Oh,
He's
God.
washed his hands,
His hands
and
went
they've gone yellow and hard, yeah.
Oh.
It's not right.
Just imagine that for a
Just-
moment.
Could you, like, bend your fingers?
It's that cracking and crumbling. Go on.
Then they started to shrink. So did he.
So his hands went first?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Imagine in The Witches, where they turn into rats.
Yeah. Oh, that still scares me.
Terrifying.
But look how big your wrist is. What's the smallest you think your hand could be without the rest of your body shrinking? Or do you think your hand would have to curve inwards in a triangular position to make that possible?
I don't know.
I don't know.
These are the things. This is why I don't sleep.
Tweet him. He crawled out of the loos, and he was a sand goanna. Beware of public loos! The end. It's in capitals, so I have to shout.
Can you explain why he became a sand
Sand goanna. Goanna.
It's a type of lizard.
Sand goanna.
That's not even is that meant to be a non-pun of iguana?
No, it is a lizard. Sand
Iguana.
goanna. Sand goanna.
I'm not
amazing.
familiar with them.
I love the graffiti on the picture. The picture of a child with his curly blonde hair, this yellow hat, and his green jumper, and his shrinking yellow hands surrounded by graffiti.
Oh my god, his yellow hand's really unnerving.
It is creepy.
And I like it says "I love Mablethorpe" on his tag.
How does this city function with all this madness?
Before Steve gets to those little reviews and things, they're little because they're only 3 words. Spoilers! I'm just going to announce excitedly the winner of the I Want Stan competition. We have randomly selected a winner.
At Scotty Magic!
Just Pirate!
And the winner is Vicky Strange at Vix Strange. Well done, you have won. We will be messaging you, or if you hear this first, do send us an email, weeklygeekspiel@gmail.com. Thank you so much to minifigures.com for sending us the fantastic figure, and do check out their website, minifigures.com. They have great custom minifigures for you to look at, and there's lots available there. So thank you very much for everyone who joined them. The answer was Big Hero 6, obviously. You were all great. We had tons of responses, and we're very grateful for that. Please do share us, even though we're not giving any competitions.
And then after that, just never recommend us.
Never again. Steve, what time is it?
It's time for This Week The Geeks Have Spoken. Thank you, as always, for your 3-word reviews, interactions, praise and tweets. Keep them coming in. We'll start, as always, with hashtag 3-word reviews, and Pete Bushbauer, the king of 3-word reviews, who last week had his picture immortalised in podcast because he did 3-wordception, which was brilliant. So, at PopUrIcast on Twitter, saw White Bird in a Blizzard, depressingly fucked up, 5 out of 10.
I hope that was a film.
I hope so.
People are just rating
It has been snowing over
odd
there.
experience
Yeah.
outside of his window.
Wait a minute, if you read through the list of films he's watched, I think he's... Wait a second. So
It's always like the number 12 bus goes past,
Yeah.
4 out of 10.
the traffic at 4 p.m. really quite quiet. What? I know. So he's watching 365 films, or aiming to watch 365 films in a year, after falling just short 352 last year without even trying. That was number 68. He watched Ghost Graduation, which I've seen on Netflix. I've gone past it. Creative Comedic Haunting, 6 out of 10.
Oh, what's the spirit?
Yeah. And Stephen King's A Good Marriage, a bad film, 3 out of 10, and that was film number 71. Now, I said I promised I would do a projection, so I was planning my maths the other night.
Oh, nice.
He watched 70 films, not including the 2 he's watched in March. He watched 70 films in 61 days, which is 1.19 films per day. If you average 365 days a year, that'll be 306 days into the year, which will be November the 2nd if he carries on at the current rate he's going.
2 is closest to that. Me.
You.
Yeah!
So yeah,
Keep that
November
up.
2nd, if
Keep
you
that
carry
up,
on.
Pete.
If you manage to hammer in a few more, we'll see. But yeah, there we go.
Maths is our friend.
And he liked the picture. Likeness is uncanny. I look good.
Can I do some of my 3-word reviews? Because I've been writing them out for weeks now.
Oh, have you?
And with Steve promised to do something with them. And he
I thought
hasn't.
something was happening on the website
Oh well.
in the background.
I just forgot.
I've only watched 6 films, so I'm going to run through them
Go on.
quickly. Slapshot, very dated vulgarity, 6 out of 10.
Cool.
Nice.
Katy Perry, Part of Me. Katie's inspiring genericness, 8 out of 10. The Watch, which somehow
yeah.
wasn't my recommend. Better Than Paul, 6 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't say much. I could not stand.
It's another alien-y type thing. It was better than Paul. Moonrise Kingdom.
Oh.
Teenage Kooky Dream. 7 out of 10.
Oh.
Nice.
Which was linking to the Katy Perry because it's on my mind. Smiley Face. Really pointless movie. 5 out of 10. And 3 Men and a Little Lady. Awful English People. 6 out of 10. Nice. Sorry, I just really wanted to. I've been writing it down. I've been so proud.
I like that. More of that sort of thing. At Robbie _Polanco, superfan Robbie Polanco saw Drunken Master, Art of Fighting.
Cool.
And then this one came in. I hope she doesn't mind, but Lisa Brunt on Facebook just put as her status. I had to borrow it. So Nan Shirley's review of that 50 Things film. It's a lovely story, but in days when I had sex, they just hurried up, pulled your nightie back down when they'd done. We didn't have time to fanny about like that, not with 6 kids in the house. And I'll tell you what, if your granddad hit me with that strap, he'd have known about it. It just really tickled me. I thought I'd share it.
Have you had any more adventures with old ladies?
Too many. Joe, when you have too much of something, you don't even recall your stories.
Yeah. Poor Scott, working in the cinema, got subjected to pictures of ladies in underwear who were 50 plus, I'm guessing. I'm imagining.
I don't know sizes.
Hey. Neil Hogg at Hoggy's Beard. Holy joystick, this looks very good in response to the Batman Arkham trailer. Bex at Arbitrary Genius said, tweeted a picture of some cookies she was making. Everyone be nice, the tiny Starco is being ordered, but I wanted to test colours and layers, and they were the Captain America shield cookies. They look brilliant.
I want to eat them.
Yeah,
eat them.
Ace.
Yeah, they were awesome.
In response to the Leonardo DiCaprio discussion in the top 5 at Popular Outcast, I personally believe that Titanic is one of the worst films I've seen as far as story and dialogue. It just looks good.
I don't remember any gripes with the dialogue. The story is a bit shallow.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looks great. You know. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's a great film. I'm just saying I think it's unfairly criticised sometimes. But you know what? People seem to not like it. So
I think it's really melodramatic, and because it's so populist and people hate on it more than they should. But it isn't good. But I think it's supposed to be a bit of height. I think it's supposed to be a bit heightened. So it's a tough one because I don't want to defend it because there's not to defend, but at the same time it's not to get angry about because why? There's worse things.
There's worse things.
And to be honest, isn't that Avatar? I think it's a James Cameron thing more than anything. Yeah. Looks good, but it's just no story and the dialogue's a bit chonky.
Yeah, no substance.
Titanic's better than Avatar.
Yeah,
I'll go that far.
Definitely.
And Avatar's far more in my wheelhouse. Or should be.
Yeah. Well, Arbitrary Genius said Titanic was my first husband's pick for our first cinema. Was my husband's first pick for our cinema date. I hated it. Next was Dark City. Phew.
I lent you that many years ago, and you've still not watched it.
Still on my pile.
We're waiting for our first. It could be our story one day, Steve.
One day we watch Dark City. Well, half of it. In response to the Avengers poster, Dave at Wilbro Jr. 36 sent us a picture of the Avengers 2 poster with "Sorry, a serious error has been detected. No more Adobe Photoshop is allowed in this picture."
That made me laugh.
I just want to watch the movie now, to be honest.
I did actually when it first came up, and I showed you guys because it was when you were with me. I did actually for a minute have to check.
It was real
because it looked very dodgy.
But
it did look like they shoved everything together.
The one for the first one looked exactly the same in terms of terrible Photoshop one that it almost made you doubt the quality of what was going to happen. So like, this is the most shoddily put together poster I think I've ever seen. But then the film was awesome. I think it's purely they don't know how to put that many characters on a poster naturally, so it just
throw
looks,
them all on.
Yeah.
And because we're so acclimatised to fan art and fan posters that it just always it's going to look that way now when you put that many people and things. Although I saw it less cluttered with less Ultron guys, looked far better.
Yeah. Beck said Stark looks like Cap's love interest.
They're a bit snug, aren't
they are, but also excited about Danny Elfman credit.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't spot that.
Yeah.
That's all.
Should be good. Scoring at this time. Superfan Robbie Polanco. One, I didn't know there were Swamp Thing films. I've only seen the TV show. I'm going to hunt those down this weekend.
See them.
Added, my favourite movie based on a video game is the first Resident Evil, and the Street Fighter anime is fantastic.
Wrong!
Right. right. I'm with you on that one.
It's Street Fighter 1.
No, it's
Street
the first
Fighter.
Resident
The
Evil.
best.
It's
Billy-
Silent Hill's above that.
Robbie, I'm high-fiving you down the microphone right now.
Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and Super Mario Brothers. Easy. Resident Evil don't even qualify.
In your opinion.
In everyone's.
Nemesis looked really cool in the third one, but
Yeah.
unfortunately the rest of the film was just a bit like
And the,
crap. I couldn't think of a better word.
They strike me as quite fun, watchable fairs. I just
The
not.
first one's fine. It's got Michelle Rodriguez in it.
Yeah.
hasn't it?
I just don't have it in me.
yeah,
I feel like I couldn't
like
just
them.
watch one. It feels like I'd have to watch 7, and I just don't want to.
I think I've said on the podcast before, I think that's going to be my next. I'm going to sit down and watch all of them in a row, like I did with the Freddy films, and bring my thoughts. Matt Brundage, _Brundage. My baby boy gives me a reason to watch Disney Junior, like I needed one. I'm so in for the new DuckTales. Apparently, they're rebooting DuckTales.
Because life is
Like a hurricane here in
Duckburg. You have to keep that tune. Honestly, this is that show. I'm going to say this now. That show will fail if it does not have that original song.
Yeah. It
It's
needs
just a
it.
fact.
It needs it.
I will flip out. I
Yeah.
will make it my crusade to burn Disney headquarters down if they do something so stupid as to not bring that tune back.
They do. If you haven't checked it out already, the game on the Xbox Live and PlayStation networks, they revamped it and updated the graphics and added the voices of all the original casts, and it's
Scrooge
well worth a
McDuck.
playthrough again, just to hear the voices as you're playing. It's great.
I love DuckTales.
Yeah,
And Darkwing Duck.
Darkwing Duck.
Let's get dangerous. Yeah.
And that has been Weekly Geek Speak. Thank you very much for listening. Next week we will be talking about Master of the Universe. I did say we were doing that in this show. However, my scheduling was wrong, so we haven't watched it yet. Because we'll watch it tomorrow. So if you did come to that, that's amazing.
We've watched it.
We've
now,
watched it now.
but we
We're
haven't
holding-
watched it.
We
now.
haven't mulled our thoughts.
No.
Oh, God.
Wait,
We watched
wait,
it then.
We're watching it tomorrow, but that was last Tuesday.
Whoa.
Wait.
Please do tweet us your 3-word reviews and get in touch if you've listened on Sheffield Live. Thank you very much for listening. You can find out more from us at Weekly Geek Speak. Give us a follow, throw stuff at us, email us weeklygeekspeak.com. Please review and subscribe on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher and Podcastland. And we're on YouTube, and you should have some videos out by this point, yes?
Hopefully. We've
Hopefully.
recorded them, certainly.
Yeah, cool. So keep your eyes peeled. More news on that soon. If you do want to blog with us as well, do get in contact with Lucy. Just email us weeklygeekspeak@gmail.com. I think that's it. Are we
I think
right?
that's it. Yeah.
And if anyone wants to draw a picture of me as Star-Lord, feel free.
It's not going to happen.